Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to day 15 of the Ramadan Duaa Accelerator. SubhanAllah, the fact that it's already been halfway through Ramadan. I actually have something interesting or funny to share with you guys. This is my third time filming this episode. For some reason, in both previous filmings, the sound cut out completely, and I'm not sure what had happened with my microphone that led that to happen. I really hope, inshallah. Actually, let me make some dua. There. I really hope that it doesn't happen this time. Please watch the video all the way until the end. I would really appreciate it given how many times this has had to be refilmed. With that being said, we are going to jump right into today's dua. Today's dua is from Surah Al-Ma'idah. Al-Ma'idah is named after a specific event that happened with Prophet Isa alayhi salam. And it is actually that event where Prophet Isa made the dua that we will be talking about. The reason that I think it's a very interesting and relevant dua to discuss, even though it's not a dua that you'll necessarily memorize and say. The lessons I think relate to an interesting social media trend that I've been seeing going around lately, which is this idea of being Delulu with your duas. Now, I've seen some pushback, other Muslim influencers push back on this concept, saying that being delusional is attributed to believing in falsehood, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the ultimate truth. I'm not going to get too much into the semantics of it, but rather I would like for us to use that as a means of reflection. If you're interested in what I have to say about this, then keep watching. We'll start off with the verse, and as usual, go to the translation. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال عيسى ابن مريم اللهم ربنا أنزل علينا مائدة من السماء تكون لنا عيدا لأولنا وآخرنا وآية منك وارزقنا وأنت خير الرازقين. And the translation is as follows. Jesus, son of Mary, said, O God, our Lord, send down unto us a table from heaven, spread with food to be a feast for us, for the first of us and the last of us, and a sign from thee, and provide for us, for thou art the best of providers. You might be wondering, why is Isa alayhi salam asking for a table of food from heaven to come down? Well, the previous verses before this one actually explain what had happened. So I will read the verses and we'll talk more about them, or the translation of the verses. And when I inspired the apostles to believe in me and in my messenger, they said, we believe, bear witness that we are submitters. When the apostles said, O Jesus, son of Mary, is thy Lord able to send down to us from heaven a table spread with food? He said, reverence God, if you are believers. They said, we desire to eat from it so that our hearts may be at peace, and we may know that thou hast spoken truthfully unto us, and we may be among the witnesses thereto. Now, the scholars debate about the context of the verses, or the intention behind what the apostles of Isa were requesting. On one side, there are scholars that say they were making this request out of insincerity and doubt. Rather, they were already shown several miracles of Isa alayhi salam, and them continuing to ask for another miracle was disrespectful. Other scholars say no, that this might have just been another hope for sincerity. It was done in sincerity, and it was similar to the request that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam made, where he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show him how he brings life to the dead, so that Ibrahim alayhi salam's heart could find rest and comfort in it. Either way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does answer the dua, and he does send them the food that they requested. And he says a very specific warning that I think any of us, if we received this warning, would find ourselves very nervous. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the translation of what he says in the following verse is, God said, I shall indeed send it down upon you. But whosoever among you disbelieves thereafter, I shall surely punish him with a punishment wherewith I have not punished any others in all the worlds. It is said that there were apostles who, when they heard this verse, this condemnation, they retracted their request and actually made tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What are the lessons we can learn from this? It just goes to show that there are du'as that we can make that help us to revere Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, help us to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They enhance our relationship. They make us better people, and they help us secure our dunya and our akhirah. And then there are du'as that we can make that end up actually leading to distancing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That if we were to get the answer to our du'a, that we would fall into sin and we would find ourselves straying from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His deen. And the scary thing is that it could be the same exact du'a that does either of those outcomes. When I think about these verses, it's a reminder that we have to be very, very mindful of our du'as. And what does this have anything to do with being Delulu? Now, if you find that this idea of being Delulu with your du'as is helping you to reverence Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more, it helps you to remind yourself He's omnipotent, He's all capable, He's all powerful, that you don't limit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala based on your limited view of thinking or your limited mindset, but rather you respect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His incredible qualities that are all encompassing and ever expansive. That's great. That's a good perspective to have. But the reality is a lot of these du'as that are being purported or proposed through this Delulu mindset are very dunya oriented du'as. They are about money, influence, items, material items. And the issue with that is that, yes, it is completely halal to make dua for dunya things. But remember what we just talked about, how easy those things can end up actually causing you to stray from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The issue I feel is that we've lost mindfulness in dua. We've lost the critical thinking aspect of our dua. What we're supposed to be doing when we're making these du'as is we should think about the implications of our du'as. And if we continue to make du'a, we should be renewing our intentions. We should really think about a plan to ensure that we don't allow this to be something that distances us from God. And we should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from that possible result. If you're interested in a dua that could really, really help you with that, yesterday's episode is all about a dua that helps secure your heart and protect you from that. It is a dua of our Prophet ﷺ, and you should definitely be memorizing it if you haven't already. You can check that episode out after this one, inshallah. With that being said, it's so important that we do not let ourselves just completely consume ourselves in dua, in dunya specific endeavors. And the thing about it is there's a whole place that we've gotten lost when it comes to self-improvement, where we seek self-improvement strategies and advice from people who are not God-centered. They're not Muslim. They don't have the same values of us. That's actually why I have this God-conscious self-improvement channel, so that you can realize you can have things of the dunya and you can secure your akhirah, inshallah, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, if you're willing to put these principles in place as the Quran and the Prophet ﷺ teach us to do so. With that being said, it reminds me of an interesting story from the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. I think illustrates this lesson very well. There was a man who came to the Prophet ﷺ, and he wasn't very well off, and he was a Sahabi. He asked the Prophet to make dua for him to become wealthy. Well, the thing about the Prophet ﷺ is he was incredibly emotionally intelligent and was able to read people's personalities and values very, very well. With that being said, he knew that this man had a tendency, if he attained wealth, he would probably stray from the deen. So he was hesitant to make that dua. Yet the man insisted, and the Prophet made dua. Well, the Prophet's du'as are always answered, right? He does end up wealthy. And the Prophet's prediction did come true. This man ended up not being as righteous as he once was. And he sacrificed his hidayah for something of the dunya. And that's really, really scary. There's a dua that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq used to make, where he would ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the following: do not take me for what they say, and forgive me for what they do not know of me, and make me better than what they think of me. This is an example of a dua that helps to secure sincerity. It's actually one dua that I've been trying to be intentional about making, because as someone who does have a social media platform and a growing YouTube channel, that I really do have you guys to thank for all your support. It's very easy to get lost in the compliments and the pride and the excitement and the income potential of these things and lose sincerity and direction. And this could become something that is not as pleasing to Allah. With that being said, I hope that you guys learned something from today's video. Even though it's not a dua that you're probably going to memorize, the lessons are applicable to any dua that you make. If you have not already, please like this video and like the videos in the series. Share the series with others, including family and friends who you think might benefit. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.